Hi, Phyllis here from southernfrugal.com. Today we're going to fix some fish in a bag. That's what I call it anyway. Now, what this is fish that's really baked in the oven with vegetables, or at least I put vegetables in mine, along with the fish, and it's just baked, really steamed in a parchment bag that you make yourself. Now, the first time we had this was we were at Hilton Head Island at a superintendent's conference. This was an in-state thing, I think. And we were staying in a little condo, and in that condo complex there was a little bitty kind of hole-in-the-wall restaurant. And so, you know, the first couple of nights you're there, you go out with other superintendents and their wives and party or whatever. And then you usually have one night kind of free. So this was our free night. So my husband said, well, why don't we try that little restaurant? Because that way you don't have to get out in the traffic. Because believe it or not, on Hilton Head Island there's a lot of traffic. And everything it's like not stoplights, it's those traffic circles, you know, that you have to kind of work your way onto. And that works fine if you're in an area where there's not much traffic, but when there's a lot of traffic, it really is nerve-wracking. So anyway, we went to this little restaurant that was in the complex with the condos, and on the special was fish in a bag. And so we were feeling real adventurous, so we asked the waiter sort of what that was, and he somewhat told us, and so we said, well, we'll try that. And it was grouper. Oh, it was the most delicious fish I've ever eaten. It had a dill on it, and it was thick. Grouper, you know, I don't know how it is now, but back then you could get a fillet of grouper really thick, and it was just so good. So then the next time we had this was we were at the beach with the kids and some of their friends. My daughter's husband, my son-in-law, Pancho, was there. No, he's not Mexican, but that's a nickname that stuck with him because he worked on dude ranches when he was growing up. So anyway, so Pancho at that time was in the Navy. And so when we were at the beach house, I discovered that the burners on top of the stove didn't work. Only one of them worked, and it only worked on high. And so I was in quite a dilemma on how I was going to cook supper for everybody that night. Because they had all the guys had been out and they caught a whole bunch of fish, and I just really didn't know what to do. So Pancho said, well, why don't you just fix them in tinfoil with some vegetables? And I said, well, how do you do that? And then I realized it was the same thing as the fish in a bag. So we cut up carrots and onions, and I think we even had some celery, and he said just sprinkle Mrs. Dash on it and seal it up, and you can cook everybody's meal at one time. And boy, did it go over well. It was wonderful. Now we had all different kinds of fish. We had pompano. I think we might have even had a flounder. We had some croaker. And so they had filleted everything that they had caught, and so we just started putting them in the tinfoil with the stuff and put them in the oven, and I think I probably cooked 10 meals right in the oven with tinfoil. Now I don't really like to cook with tinfoil. I think it's better if you can use parchment paper, but we were at the beach and that store down there is just a small grocery store and it didn't sell parchment paper. So anyway, to make a long story short, that's what we're going to fix today, only we're going to do it in parchment paper, which I think is a lot healthier. Now, I want to show you the vegetables first, because the most time-consuming thing is cutting up all your vegetables. So what we've got here, see if I can get closer. There, it's a little bit closer. And you can put any kind of vegetables in these that you want. I've got 2 small carrots, and I've just cut them up into strips. It's not quite julienne, but you know, little smaller strips. 2 red potatoes that I've sliced very thin. Some green onions, and these are just 3 I had left, and I just cut them in half, and you know, sort of cut them in half again. And these are Brussels sprouts that were frozen, and I've also cut those in half, and they're still just a little bit frozen. 4 very thin slices of lemon. You want to slice those as thin as you can get them. These are red and green bell peppers that were frozen. I took those out of the freezer a little while ago. So we're going to put all those vegetables in the pouch we're going to make. So now, the most important thing, Mahi Mahi. Now this is not from, Southeast Asia. This is from Peru. So I thought I'm going to definitely try that because we love Mahi Mahi, and there are 4 pieces in here. It was kind of pricey, but still, we've had Mahi Mahi many times at restaurants, and we both like it. It's a very mild fish, white fish. See if you can see through the wrapper there. So we're going to have a fillet of this. All right, so now let's get on with making our little bags. You're going to need some parchment paper, and you need to get the kind the long kind. Now they sell this in Walmart now. In years past, you had a hard time finding parchment paper, but now you can find it, and it's the long one. All right, so you want to cut off 2 pieces that are 20 inches long. And fold that in half, so that's going to make this 10 across. And because there are 2 of us, of course, we're going to have 2, so I'm going to put those sheets of paper together. Then I'm going to fold them again and make this easy on me. And what I'm going to do is just kind of cut off the corners. Get them lined up here. Just cut off, kind of round it off like that. And just come on around. Cut that corner off and come on around. And cut the next corner off. So it's, well, on this one, let me get that cut first. Okay, let me show you what one of them looks like. When you unfold it, it kind of looks like a 4-leaf clover, really. All right, so let me put this out of the way. I'm going to be ready to combine this. All right. So we're just going to open up these little 4-leaf clovers. And I'm going to put just a little bit of olive oil at the bottom there. Maybe a little teaspoon would be enough. And just kind of spread that out kind of forward. See if you can see this. Just kind of spread it out forward to the bottom half of this. And try not to get any on the edges, because that's where we're going to fold everything up. All right, so we are now ready for our little fillets. Now these are still frozen, and that's by intention, because the fish will cook a lot faster than the vegetables will. Get 2 kind of thick ones. Put these others right back in the freezer. All right. So now we're going to cut these out of the little wrapper. They're back and packed and frozen. See if I can get that out pretty quick. Smells great. Okay, there it is. Place that down there. The same thing with the next one. So I can get it open here. Right, place that one down. All right, now, right to start with, I'm going to go ahead and put some dill weed on the fish. Oop, too much. Move some of this off this one. Put it over here. And I'm going to go ahead and put the little lemon slices on the fish. Alright, so now we're ready to start putting our vegetables on. So I'm going to put the potatoes on first. And these are just 2 medium-sized red potatoes. I'm just placing those in front of the fish. Let's not cut all the way through. There we go. Right in front of the fish. Now, next I'm going to place my carrots right around. See if you can see both of those. Yeah, you can sort of see both of them. Back that off. There. So sort of place those around. Next, I'm going to do my peppers. Just push those all around. I think I've got more red than green here, but it doesn't matter. Alright. Next, I'm going to place my Brussels sprouts sort of on the outside. Now, these are previously frozen. I got these at Walmart. They were really pretty. And I'm going to place those around. And then last, oops, there's some more peppers. Next, I'm going to place my little spring onions that I've cut in half. So I'll place those kind of on top there. Makes me hungry even when I'm fixing these. Alright, so now I'm going to just give a little bit of salt to the vegetables. Not really putting any on the fish. And then I'm going to use some Old Bay. Now, I'll have to tell you that Mrs. Dash actually works better on this, but I don't have any right now, so I'm just going to use some Old Bay spices right on top of everything. Now, not much, but just a little bit. Sprinkled all on top. And now, if you want to, you can put a little more olive oil, just a little dribble, on the vegetables. Maybe even a little over the fish and the lemon. That'll work. Alright, now we're ready to seal these up. And this can be a little tricky. But here's what you want to do. Fold over your parchment paper and start at one end in the corner and just start rolling it up, pinching it together, keeping your 2 sides together. Just keep going around. You want to leave a little space, you know, in here because you're going to have a bunch of steam, because that's really what you're doing. You're steaming all of this together. So just keep wrapping it. And just fold it over and sort of twist it together. Just pinch it all together right there at the end. Now, this should prevent any liquid from coming out. And you don't have to vent it or anything like that. Alright, let's do one more. Alright, so we're going to start by just getting them together, and you want to start at one end and just fold it over and just kind of pinch it together. Fold it over a couple of times and just keep going. Going all the way around. You want to leave it, you know, so you've got a little room, because what it will do is expand with the steam that's going to come really from the vegetables and the fish. Make sure you've got that end all in there. Now, when we had this at the restaurant, of course, the waiter made a big production. He brought the bag and then he sliced it open and folded it back. He made just a real big production out of it. But it was delicious. And when we fixed it at the beach that time, it was really good. Now, I don't fix this very often, but I do love it. It's certainly a very low-calorie meal with good fat with the olive oil. All right, so you can do this with shrimp and scallops. You can do it with any kind of fish you would like, even catfish. You can do this. Makes a great meal. All right, now we're going to place this on my cookie sheet or baking pan. I have had the oven on, preheating at 400 degrees. Place that on there like that. And you could make the packets smaller, like for children. You might want to make the packets a little smaller. I don't think they would have trouble eating this much if they're young children. But anyway, make sure it's all folded up together. Now, the paper now, the parchment paper, I think probably has a Teflon coating or something on it now, so it doesn't fold quite as good as it used to, but it will still work. Now, you don't want to vent them or anything because it's going to puff up, and the steam is what's going to cook everything. You want to make sure your vegetables, like particularly your carrots and your potatoes, are of a similar thickness. Everything really needs to be sliced thin. Okay, so these going in the oven, 400 degrees for about 30 minutes. Now, the way you'll know when it's done, it'll be all puffed up, and the parchment paper will probably be sort of turning brown on the edges. But about 30 minutes is what I do. And remember, I know that fish cooks really fast. That's why I put mine in there frozen. All right, we'll be back when this is ready. Okay, we are back, and I actually ended up cooking my little fish in the bag for about 35 minutes. And I did that because the fish was about a ½ inch thick and it was solidly frozen. So I wanted to cook it a little longer. But if your fish is not frozen, you probably wouldn't want to cook it more than about 20 or 25 minutes. All right, so we're going to get this over on the plates now. See if I can do this without burning myself. Okay. Alright, now, this is how I do it. Now, in the restaurant, what they did was cut a X on it and, you know, peel the sides back, made it real dramatic. But what I'm going to do is just cut it with the scissors. Now, you want to be careful because there's going to be a lot of steam in there. Just actually fold that back a little bit. I'm just going to cut the whole thing off. And when you first cut it, you need to kind of pull your hand back because the steam's going to be very hot. There it is. Let me move the camera now so you can see it a little better. Sorry for the little jiggling. Alright, there it is. There's the fish. Let me move that back a little bit so you can see the fish. There's the fish. All flaky and done. Smells wonderful. Pull the thing back off this one a little bit. Just double checking that fish, make sure it's flaky, and it is. So there's all the vegetables, potatoes, the carrots, the little Brussels sprouts are in there. So this is just a meal in a bag. All right, we will see you next time.